the heart and soul behind every business. Stories. Welcome to Business Story of the Week, hosted by me, Joshua Laurie. From setbacks to comebacks, from tragedies to triumphs, we inspire entrepreneurs through conversations that matter. Witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. Whether it's your career, business, or life, your success is always one story away. This is Business Story of the Week. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back to Business Story of the Week. I am your host, Joshua. And have you ever wondered the relationships between environmental factors impacting athletic performance? But we're going to answer that question today with our guest, the expert exactly in that field. Justin Frandson is a renowned athleticism performance coach, author and founder of athleticism.com and emfrocks.com. With over 25 years of experience, he specializes in nerve work and the connection between athletic performance and the environment, offering groundbreaking solutions like the grounding bag for managing EMF challenges. And today he's going to share his secrets, his insight, and his wisdom in these particular fields. Today, Justin, thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
Oh, amazing. Thanks, Joshua, for having me on.
Fantastic. Justin, we are going to get right into it. And we have a range of questions on here that delve into the more surface level athletic performance and deeper into environmental and to the questions of the universe, so to speak, right? But before we really get into the thick of it, Justin, what is the story of Justin Frandson? What is your story? Have you always been into athletics? Have you always been an active child? Is there anything that happened in your life, any pivotal moment in your life that got you into athletics and then into your field, into EMF rocks or studying EMF in general? What is the story of Justin Frandson?
Definitely, Joshua. I was an athlete, grew up with two sport, played soccer and tennis early on. Tennis was my main one. I wanted to play at USC and I got hurt. So couldn't play. So that was really what drove me into this whole field of helping athletes perform at their highest level, because I just didn't get to the level I felt I could achieve at. And I started athleticism.com about 30 years ago, working with amateur and professional athletes. And I saw one of our athletes break down from wearable technology about a dozen years ago. And so he's wearing a smartwatch and he had pain in his wrist. And I said, well, where's the pain? And he said, it's right here where the watch is. I said, well, take the radiation off your wrist. And that was literally, the pain went away right away. And he didn't realize it was a watch that was causing pain, and that was actual radiation. And that's what really got me into how we can understand what our environment is and how it affects us.
And this is particularly now the field that you have entered in particular, which is EMF. And there are different types of EMF, which is like a native EMF and a non-native EMF. Could you explain to us the differences of this, and why do you think that type of EMF on that athlete's wrist significantly affected his performance?
Well, that was about the time when the Fitbits were being recalled, and the radiation levels were super high, and a lot of people were having pain associated with. So, and then I had some other experiences with electricity and stressors that I could feel when I was younger. That kind of just led me to that. But just kind of a sixth sense and awareness of that. But there are two different types of electromagnetic fields. We call them EMFs. The native ones, we call them electromagnetic fields. The non-native, we call them really electromagnetic radiation more than anything. Yeah, the difference between the two is one's a native form. It's natural. They're based on scalar waves that are unpolarized. They distribute equally in every direction. They're just unpolarized waves. Our bodies
Wow.
really accept those, but all
Uh-huh.
electricity, wireless signals, those are all one directional waveforms. So they're polarizing for the body. And that's the
Right.
fundamental framework of how these waveforms are made is one of the main reasons why they affect us. One is polarizing, which is disruptive, and one is
Uh-huh.
something that we're built on.
Yes, and I heard the concept before where it's been said that we are beings of energy, we are beings of electricity, right? Our functions, our brain functions literally run on electric currents, right? It's currently firing different currents. So it only makes sense that if you apply or you this kind of currents experience something that isn't used to, a non-polarized kind of current, like you said, it only makes sense that it disrupts our whole system, right? Is this what you've seen throughout your study and the science behind the EMF, or what we call now electromagnetic radiation? How exactly is it affecting not just academic performance, but also sleep? I understand you've also gotten studied into that. Talk to us a little bit about that, and why is it currently a huge stressor?
Yeah, I would say, Josh, it's the number one stressor that we're dealing with today,
Mm-hmm.
period, is
Period.
the rollout of non-native electromagnetic radiation at levels that we've never seen before. And the reason
Uh-huh.
it's so
Uh-huh.
stressful on us is because it disrupts our sleep. It starts with the sleep. I feel Dr. Martin Paul says it opens the voltage gated calcium channels. So those are four big words of saying it affects the cell at the mitochondria level where it shuts down that energy system of our body.
Yes.
So at
Okay.
the
Wow.
cellular level, right there. And then with the sleep part, it's going to calcify your pineal gland. You don't connect to
Wow.
God. You don't get into deeper REM sleep. It's going to
Wow.
disrupt our endocrine system, which is our hormones replenish. So serotonin, melatonin, you're not getting into those deeper REM sleeps to be able to replenish your body and your hormones. So right
Mm-hmm.
there, those are the first few. And then the next is a long list. It destructures water, so it dehydrates us. So we're seeing an epidemic of chronic dehydration. And then you see all the cognitive challenges. You see, the headaches, the migraines. The level two would be more seizures, non-trauma concussion symptoms. And
Wow.
then you
Wow. Wow.
you go into the bigs: cancer, suicide, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular disease, and then infertility.
Wow. That is a huge list that you just rattled off right now, which is a massive stressor in our lives today. And it's not just about doom scrolling, right? Because we all know the concept of doom scrolling, going in your bed, lying down, and instead of going to sleep right away, you're actually doom scrolling until you try to fall asleep. It's not just exactly the doom scrolling that is keeping you from falling asleep. It's actually the device itself and the device that are surrounding us. Apart from the device that we are actually always accessing, are there any particular gadgets, how about electric cars, about any other gadgets that are harmful right now for us, and it really is disrupting our how do you call this, our natural rhythms?
Yeah, you call them the circadian rhythm. So for sure, when
Mm-hmm.
someone's doom scrolling at night, the blue light from the phone, the really bright white light, is
Mm-hmm.
allowing their brain to think it's still daylight out for several more hours.
Yes.
So even when they turn off, they don't get into a deeper sleep for several hours. So if you go to bed
Yes.
at midnight, you're not getting into deep sleep till 4 a.m. You got to wake
Mm-hmm.
up at 7 or 8. You got 3, 4 hours of sleep,
Uh-huh.
and then you accumulate that. That's not a recipe for success. So yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
there that's a challenge. We want to get into a circadian rhythm. We want to use this technology, not let it use us. And we ought to
Yes.
understand the proximity protocols and how big of stressors these are. So you mentioned electric cars. That's probably one of my hot buttons. It's probably one of the biggest challenges that we see. No one wants to buy an electric car anymore. These things are sitting on a massive battery. It's 18% lower testosterone.
Ooh.
You have to use the
Ooh.
electrical grid that they want to reduce the usage of.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, it's stupid. There's no rhyme or reason. It doesn't make any sense in any
Uh-huh.
way, shape, or form. It's been a marketing ploy, and there's no infrastructure for it. They're using coal, cadmium, all these precious minerals to mine it. That has a bigger footprint on the mining process and then the waste process than a combustion engine car. It's fire
Wow.
hazards. It doesn't get more fuel efficient when you use it. It freezes and cold. They can shut it down at any time. I mean, this thing is a disaster. It's just a
Wow.
absolutely probably one of the biggest misses. I feel it'll go down as one of the biggest misses and fads in the history of the auto industry, and we'll get away from it pretty quickly.
I that statistic that you just mentioned right there is very mind-blowing. 80% less testosterone.
18, yeah. You sit on a
It's
big
just
battery.
exactly
Whoever taught anyone to sit on a big battery? That's dirty
big one.
electricity. Yeah, a massive one. It's a whole
Mm.
floorboard. And they're multiple, there's multiple batteries on it, but it's giving you the level of usage you're requesting. So when you're accelerating, decelerating, reversing, idling, charging it, the
It's
spike
just
and the static, it's a
exactly.
static in
Hmm.
it. That's dirty
Hmm.
electricity is off the charts. And they try to buffer it, but they can't. And they're trying to sell it, but no one wants to buy them anymore. So they're moving
Wow.
into these hybrids. So that's they're trying to go to, but it's just an awful entire marketing plan and scheme.
And yeah, it's a Pandora's box is open, like you said. Like people now are these cars are out there. People are wanting them. Good thing we didn't want them. I didn't want it. Never wanted an electric car. Never dreamed of
No.
one. So that's a good thing. Thank you for reinforcing that and validating that, not just for me, but for the rest of our audience and listeners. Justin, you you combine these two fields, youth athletic performance, and now you trying to work your, work your science against EMFs or electromagnetic radiation, as you call it. You develop a technique like we call athletic neuro stacking, but you also develop what you call a grounding bags for managing these EMF radiations that we're talking about. What kind of results have you experienced from these interventions, and how do they go together?
Yeah, so with athleticism.com, I work with athletes. I treat concussions. So I use our grounding bags to help the concussions because NCAA protocol says no screen time for concussions because it affects your blood-brain barrier. It slows down the healing process of a brain
Wow.
injury.
Hmm.
So with that, everyone looks to nature to get grounded, right, Joshua?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so did we. So that's our answer is nature's resonance in a bag that you bring into your home to create a coherence. So
Wow.
nothing does it better than nature. The best way to heal for anybody is to get outside into nature. Our
Hmm.
bodies act like a body battery. There's
Right, right.
five components to it. You get the
Please.
sunlight, you get the negative ionic charge from the earth that we
Hmm.
pull the electrons to support our electron transport chain. You get minerals from our food, hopefully. You get it from the air, as Zach Bush would say. There's a friend of mine, he's a big MD that talks about breathing your microbiome. And then the fifth one is you get minerals and nutrients from the water. And then you get the conductivity of it all from the water. If you're missing any one of those five elements, your body's going to be compromised. Similar as a car battery. If it doesn't
Right.
have water in it, what happens to the battery?
Oh, wow. It dies
It
off.
dies. It
Hmm.
dies. Yeah. So
Hmm.
same as our body battery. We just have, several more elements to back us up on that
Hmm.
have buffers for us. But if we're missing any one of those elements, we become more compromised. So we rolled out these EMF rocks grounding bags because we live in these homes, we call them homes, but they're really electrical boxes. And so
Uh-huh.
when we're out
Uh-huh.
outside in nature, we're bringing nature's resonance into your home. And we're now one of the industry leading natural EMF protection products sold through doctor clinics all around the country, all to get you to sleep up to 60% deeper.
Wow. 60% deeper. That is very cool. That sounds like something I need in my life right now, Justin. For sure. And I'm all about that. I champion sleep. I'm a proponent of good sleep. I mean, it's pretty early now, but I do make sure that I get my deep sleep in. Um, these concepts you talked about just now, I understand they are part of your book called Athleticism, Whole Body plus Whole Brain plus Performance. It explores these intricate connections between physical prowess and mental acuity. Um, we could go on about all these other concepts as well that you have, but talk to us about other insights in your book and how athletes can apply this to optimize their performance, but not just athletes, but also to the common Joe, to the average audience and listeners, and how do they apply to our daily lives?
Yeah, definitely. Well, athleticism just covers all the pillars for health. You got to have awareness and you got to understand proper nutrition, hydration, exercise, and sleep, and owning your power and the
Mm-hmm.
quality, quantity, and frequency of all those involved. And so we cover that whole foundation portion of it in the book. The more specifically on EMF rocks,
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a second book. I don't know if you guys know about it, but it's called Grounded by Nature. So
Wow.
that one dives into the whole EMF space, all the studies, all the science behind it, all the studies that have been hidden by our governments for the last, 50 plus years. And then it goes into basically the answers to uh, being able to coexist with all these non-native waveforms. So that one, Grounded by Nature, you can find it on our websites, and that one's a really simple, easy, quick guide to understand all this stuff. And I make one of my superpowers, Joshua, is I make the intangible tangible. I make
Wow.
people understanding microwatts per meter squared and gigahertz. Like, what does that mean? What are these numbers? And that's the biggest thing in this whole space is they talk in such these technical terms that it confuses the end person. I just quantify them into a wave per second because everyone can understand what 1 second of time is and how many
Right.
waves can fit into that 1 second. When we're sleeping, our brainwave states are 1 or below 1 to 8 hertz or waves per second. So one
Mm-hmm.
or below
Mm-hmm.
1 to 8 waves per second. The Schumann
Right.
resonance of the Earth, the healing pulse of Earth is about 7.83 hertz. When our athletes are in the flow state, they're about 8 to 13 hertz or waves per second.
Wow.
So we rev, sleep, and optimize really low and slow with the earth. These cell
Right.
phones, Joshua, the 4G is at the slowest bandwidth for 4G is 2.45 gigahertz. That converts
Okay.
to 2.45 billion waves per second. So there's a 10-0 delta between something that's really polarizing for us. Now, 5G is
Oh
60
my.
to 90 billion waves per second. Telecom has the opportunity to go up to 300 gigahertz, which is 300 billion waves per second when we're sleeping at 1 to 8.
Wow.
So this is where it gets a little tricky. The industries makes it confusing for us.
Mm-hmm.
Every new electrification, every time they turn up the signal
Mm-hmm.
strengths, a lot of people adapt. There's a book called The Invisible Rainbow I want everyone to take a look at. Categorize the
Wow.
history of electricity in life and directly correlates every major shift in our electromagnetic blanket to
Wow.
people
Wow.
getting sick. So before 1889, they introduced electricity in the homes. The shifts were all cosmic shifts, solar flares, atmospheric pressure shifts. Ever since we introduced electricity, the flu is here to stay. And then every major electrification from introduction of radio waves, satellites, radar, and now 5G
Oh
were
my.
times where a lot of people got sick, right? Remember last several
Mm-hmm.
years, a lot of people got
Mm-hmm.
sick. Guess what they turned
Mm-hmm.
on? 5G.
Oh, wow, wow. Though you just rattled off these mind-blowing events in our lives, and it does make sense, Justin. You actually call this electric boxes. The homes that we call are actual electric boxes. And you did mention that it is possible to kind of coexist with these electric boxes, but those bandwidth waves, Justin, they're a problem. They're a problem, and they are here to stay. And when it comes to coexisting with them, um, perhaps there's a lot more to unravel around that because we also have solar in our homes. Do they emit EMFs? Do they emit radiations? But to really start getting into that, Justin, perhaps we need to start asking the bigger questions and giving this concept to our audiences.
to begin to start wrapping this up, sort of, you focus on healing, you focus on providing organic solutions to manage EMF with your grounding bags. Um, how do you see the future of EMF radiation or EMF managing evolving? How do you see yourself being involved in this and seeing all these, electric boxes and or the convenience that is bringing us, but also the inconvenience, the heat and stressors that is bringing us? How do you see this being managed in the future and promoting a coexistence and providing a well-being in our modern technology-driven world?
Yeah, Joshua, we don't want to fear it. That's the big thing, is we don't want to fear it. And we can convert these one directional waveforms. That's what the physics part of it is. And that's what nature helps us do. So I feel the future, we have to lean in on getting outside and getting grounded by nature way more, because we're being radiated to death, essentially, is what's happening. So I want to get away from the big government of mandating what goes in you, because if you start to inject stuff that goes in you that can be controlled by bandwidths, that's not freedom and body sovereignty. And
Yes,
I feel we have to establish proximity protocols to all these stressors. And we have wireless earbuds. That's radiation localized in our inner ear. I would recommend using corded ones over the long term. Over the long term, it's not going to be enhancing for you to keep doing that for a long periods of time. Short periods, our bodies can buffer it, but what I've seen in 12 years of it is it's about 10-year time frame where bodies really start breaking down with those big challenges. So I would encourage people to hardwire their computers. It's so simple. You guys just get adapters. You can hardwire. It's faster, it's safer, it's more reliable. You don't have to have a wireless router in your computer all day long. Obviously, the phones, people, not many people hardwire their phone, but you can. But I encourage people to hardwire their Wi-Fi routers at home, or Wi-Fi, I should say, their modems, and get adapters and put them on routers. And then there's no EMF in your house other than at least wireless signals. So get the resonance of your home as low and slow, as close to nature as possible. Opt out of the smart meters you talked about. Definitely avoid solar, because again, that's a big battery. Any battery on your house is going to cause dirty electricity. Stop getting these new smart homes with these LED lights. They have transformers in them. That causes static and dirty electricity in the homes. Just really look into this space in a big way before you go and buy a new home and throw a bunch of money into it, before you buy a new car, before you buy new headsets. And there's ways to use technology without it using you. And there's ways to coexist in this world. And when you do have it, if you're not going to get rid of your Tesla, then load up on 7 grounding bags. Throw 7 grounding bags in your car, and then you have a coherence in there. If you have solar on your home, you're still on the grid. You're not off the grid, but throw 7 grounding bags in your home, and then 1 on each bed. If you're just in a regular house without solar, make sure you have 1 grounding bag on each bed, and then 5 to clear the house. And then, so 5 clear about 2,000 square feet, but 1 on each bed, you'll sleep way better. So there's ways to live and get out in nature. I'm the walk-in breathing ambassador of getting grounded by nature. I'm walking on the beach barefoot every morning. I play beach volleyball as often as I can. I'm in the ocean almost every day, getting, that support from the water, cold water therapy as well. So if you don't have access to that, just touch a tree, hug a tree, have a picnic, just get outside as much as you can. And that is going to be the answer to recharging your body battery, so you can live healthier, you can heal, because it's really tough to heal when you're decharged, and then ultimately perform at the highest level.
Wow, those are great advices that you just rattled off. Of course, in nature, reconnect. That's why it's horrible when you stay in the metros, there's no trees everywhere. There's no parks to go into, like find some ways to go to nature, reconnect, go to the beach. I love that you have access to the beach. Beach here is about an hour or two away. Thank you for that reminder. But also, I'm always hardwired with my internet. I need to work on this. I've been thinking of working on these wireless buds after all. But so many things that you've just allowed us to learn today, Justin, and I truly, truly appreciate that. Justin, I want to start wrapping this up with this question, and I believe this is a question that you um you are very familiar with, but I'd like to just add to it a little bit more. First off, is Justin, how are we the same with the rest of the universe? But what are also the future aspirations of Justin Frandson, and how do you see your place in this universe?
Yeah, well, I kind of already answered the first one. Just we're one with the universe on the same
Yes.
waveform or scalar waves. They're
Mm-hmm.
unpolarized, they distribute equally. Our
Mm-hmm.
fascia is connected to the ether. Our environment is our air, which is plasma, ether. Waves and particles travel through it. So if I can close my eyes and know where my hand is in space, how is that? It's because of all the waves and particles around us.
Wow.
And it's through our fascia connections that we could do that. So stay hydrated, take diatomaceous earth, food grade, iris sea
Mm-hmm.
moss, like that'll keep you hydrated, keep the minerals going, allow you to have a really solidified connection with our electromagnetic blanket of an atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And in the future, where do I see us going? We're going to continue to be one of the industry leaders because this electromagnetic radiation is now, unfortunately, a necessity to deal with. So that makes our
Yes.
products a necessity to have. Everyone really will benefit by having a grounding bag, at
Mm-hmm.
least
Mm-hmm.
one in their bed, at least one, and at least 5 in their home in addition. And even the
Mm-hmm.
new cars are full of EMF. So everyone should have one in their car as well. So we're going to keep rolling out protection for helping people coexist and stay healthy and keep their bodies optimal. All of our other curated health products are on athleticism.com. I see athleticism being the portal for all our incredible curated products and more. We brought in a lean oil, MC2 oil. We have incredible toothpaste. We
Wow.
have Campo Beauty, some essential oils. The
Mm-hmm.
list goes
Mm-hmm.
on and on as far as the product offerings we have on athleticism.com. So I'm looking to help a lot of people and do that through our products and then sharing this information with them so they can make great purchase power decisions.
Fantastic. Justin, thank you so much for your insights today and for all the secrets of the universe that you have shared with us. Thank you for also reminding us, of course, to everyone, check out athleticism.com. Also check out emfrocks.com, where Justin is providing these secrets or these tools to ground us better with his grounding bag. But also, Justin, where can we find you? Where can we connect with you? And where can we get this book of yours? You also mentioned one book apart from athleticism. Where can we best stay up to date with you?
Thanks. You just said it, emfrocks.com and athleticism.com, on Instagram at emfrocks and at athleticism neurostacking.
Fantastic. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been great. Justin, thank you for joining us today. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you, Joshua.
And to all our audience and listeners out there, see you on the next one.
All right, so here's the thing. We try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.